Hello everyone. I am so excited that I've been invited to your homeschool today. My name is Peter Connect, and I get to work through the family school with you and your parents on these lessons that you are learning throughout the year. And today I've got some exciting news. We're going to be taking a tour. We're going to a museum. Your parents have hired me to be your tour guide to this historical keyboard museum. And you're going to see some kind of ancient pianos, if you will. You may even play the piano or the keyboard, or you know somebody who does. And today we're going to learn about some of those versions of a piano that existed and that were invented by composers and musicians and inventors during the Baroque Era. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, are you ready to go? Okay, well, join me on this little tour, and I'm sure you'll be excited that you came along. First, we're going to start off by listening to some music from an old harpsichord. Let's take 30 seconds and just listen to this music and listen for different sounds and try and imagine what this instrument might look like by the way it sounds. Okay, now that you've had a chance to listen to a harpsichord, let's move on through our tour. To be cool, back in the days of the Baroque era, musicians needed to play two melodies at the same time. That's impossible. How could you do that? Musical mechanics solved the problem by inventing keyboards. Polyphonic music without voices was possible at last. Today, like I said, we're going inside a museum that houses different kinds of keyboard instruments, including pianos like we have today. Today our focus at the museum will be on the Baroque keyboards, the keyboards before pianos were invented. They were all pretty amazing. Many are 500 or 600 years old even, invented and improved under difficult conditions. These Baroque and Renaissance keyboards have a unique characteristic. The volume never changes, no matter how hard you hit the keys. Can you imagine? No dynamics in music? You can't even play soft. It is sound or no sound, that's it. That's one reason why Baroque music is so fancy. They had to do something to make it interesting since there are no dynamics, like the music that you're listening to right now. Musical mechanics were constantly building and rebuilding their creations. They were changed and improved. They were made more beautiful, and sometimes they went right over the top. That means some of their creations were interesting for a moment, but too extravagant to repeat. Let's go ahead and go inside. I think there is an old Dutch painting on the wall to introduce us to one of the grandmother of keyboards. It will let us know who used the keyboard the most. Here's the painting. This is a picture of the daughters of kings and rich people. The daughters of kings and rich people were all given musical lessons and were absolutely expected to play a keyboard instrument. The richest families purchased instruments of their own. And that's kind of a sad thing that you think about the number of people that get to play the piano and the keyboards today compared to when they were first invented. It's a great opportunity that you have. Now we're listening to a clavichord. There were some clavichords like this one created at the end of the Dark Ages. Clavichords were called the silent instrument because its sound was always soft, perfect for practicing in a small home. Notice this unique characteristic about these clavichords, that the keyboard is on the left side of the instrument. Now we're going to listen to a harpsichord. The biggest keyboard family is the harpsichord family. They are all plucked instruments. Most of the keyboards in this tour are in the harpsichord family. This is a new music flashcard that represents the Baroque era. And here's the back of the card. The Baroque era was during a period of time about 1600 to 1750 years after the birth of Christ. And this, an important component of the Baroque era, and what we're talking about today, is the introduction of tonality to music, where multiple tones could be played at the same time. Tonality is an organized system of tones of a major or minor scale in which one tone becomes the central point to which the other remaining tones are related, but not the same, which allows for a very complex but standardized polyphonics, beautiful music. We're also going to introduce a new musical selection half card. This is musical selection half card 3.8, and it's a card for this song. Let's see if you can pronounce it. I've got a key at the bottom. Let's see if you can give it a try before I try it. Letich Tokshok Olomayotai. Letich Tokshok Olomayotai. Now anybody who's French would probably be laughing about the way we just pronounced that, but we did our best, right? This song was created by a very famous French composer by the name of, I'm not going to try to pronounce that either until we listen to it. Let's go ahead and listen to it.
François Couperin. François Couperin.
François Couperin. Well, a little bit more difficult than you would think by looking at it. As you can see in this image right here, instrument makers were not just inventing musical instruments, they were artists as well. Here's a picture of a Virginal, which we're going to talk about next, but before we talk about it, look at the intricate artwork on this musical instrument. When the first instruments were available, a young woman would play the little harpsichord called a Virginal, setting the instrument right on her lap or maybe on a tabletop. These beautiful harpsichords were called virginals because they reminded people of the gentle and undisturbed voice of a virgin, or a chaste young woman who has remained personally pure and honorable and is therefore of great worth with a gentle and undisturbed voice. Notice that the keyboard is just left of center of the instrument. King Henry VIII purchased 5 virginals, kind of like these, in 1530. Now we're going to play music from a Muselaar. This member of the harpsichord family is called a Muselaar. Its keyboard is placed to the right of center. The Muselaar has a warm, rich, and resonant sound mostly. The lower sounding keys on the left end make a kind of buzzing or snarling noise. In the 18th century, it was said that Muselaars grunt in the bass like young pigs. Kind of a funny way to describe music, isn't it? Now let's play some music from an Octavino. Do you like this tiny little virginal? It is called an Octavino. The Octavino is pitched an octave higher than a regular virginal. Here's one on a stand for outdoor concerts. This one's a double virginal. Sometimes the little Octavino is put with a larger virginal to make a double virginal. Can you see why the double virginal was called the mother and child? Now we're going to play some music from a spinet. That's how you pronounce this, spinet. This is a little bent side spinet. Can you see why it was given this name? The right side of spinet is bent in a gentle curve. The insides of the spinet are little, and the sound isn't as pretty as a virginal. But this spinet costs less money and takes up less space. This meant that more people could buy it and have music in their homes. It also meant that more children could learn to play a keyboard. A French spinet like this one is called an epinet. Alright, now we're going to show you a very exciting instrument. It's an over-the-top keyboard. You can take it wherever you go. It even has surround sound and 3 dozen keys per octave. Little drum roll here. Alright, this is a traveling harpsichord, or a folding harpsichord. It has some really interesting characteristics. This one was painted with flowers and insects and with interesting characters, one of whom was always doing something silly to the other character. Frederick the Great of Prussia loved both war and music, and he took a folding harpsichord with him into battle. One time a prince hired Bach and his musician friends to go with him on a trip. He paid Bach by giving him the traveling harpsichord. Now he could take it wherever he wanted. Now we're going to listen to a Clavicytherium. This is another harpsichord. Look closely. This is a different way to look at an upright grand piano, isn't it? Clavicytheriums were tall, often 9 feet 2 inches. People had to build their houses to fit the instrument. Clavicytheriums may also be 4 feet tall and sit on a table. The best part of playing the Clavicytherium is that the music you play comes right back at you. It may be the earliest experiment with surround sound ever. Now we're going to listen to an Archicembalo. The Archicembalo is a harpsichord with many extra keys and strings. It has 2 manuals or keyboards. The Archicembalo has the usual white and black keys like a piano, plus each regular black key is divided into 2 parts or keys, plus on the lower manual or keyboard of the Archicembalo there is an extra black key between B and C and between E and F. Can you find it? The piano does not have this. Go check and compare. Sometimes musical mechanics or technicians seem to invent new and even silly instruments just for the fun of it. I can imagine that they found great joy in their creativity. Compare your piano keys to the keys on this wild instrument. The Archicembalo was made by fun-loving creators for experimentation. There are certainly a lot of happy ways to make a keyboard, isn't there? Take a look at a few of these. Well, our time is up. That's the end of our tour today. Thank you for inviting me to be your tour guide in this historical keyboard museum. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about the inventors of these wonderful musical instruments from the Baroque era and getting to learn a little bit about them, the people, the instruments. These inventors must have had a lot of joy in creating these instruments, as you can tell. And hopefully you have similar joy as you listen and play these instruments that you get to have the chance to participate in and use and listen to today. We don't all play the piano, and all the things that we do work on, hopefully that we find joy in them as we make these creations to be shared and to be a blessing to the people around us and to our families and to ourselves. Have a wonderful day.